Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to tackle the extreme versions stage 4 and 5, and hopefully some of these strategies will help you in your endeavors to challenge these difficult bosses as well. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So in this stage, we have one Cyrus that eventually splits into 3, and then eventually splits again into 4. And so with each subsequent wave, there's going to be more and more of them, and they kind of do their own moves consecutively. Not only that, but there is a danger in that we do have Slash Zone activated and established by Cyrus, and so at the beginning of every wave, you do have that to worry about. Now, good thing is, Cyrus is actually weak to Earth, and if you do have Violet, she has that one more ability, being that she is of the Persona 5, and so she hits twice against enemies who have a weakness to her move. So her Sword Dance, high level of crit chance, does a ton of damage, and you can enhance that with the Grasta that I'll show you at the end of the loadout part of the video. Now, if you're wondering what we're choosing, obviously there are restrictions on the party comp. We do have to use Cyrus as well as Fane and Aldo. And although Cyrus currently doesn't do a lot of damage, neither does Aldo, it still helps to maintain the bar, being that we're all slash units and we have Slash Zone, and we don't have to bring a Slash Zone setter, being that it's always done and re-established at the beginning of each wave. So the key here is, unless you have an extremely powerful team, and in this case we have a moderate team, 5 free characters and Elga normal style, we are trying to just kind of wear down in wave 1, we just kind of killed it without using the AF bar. In wave 2, we used the AF bar and left the small Cyrus, which was less lethal, and it has, in this case, about a third to a quarter of its HP. And the whole point here is try to build up another bar. With the zone active, each hit that we do, being that we're using all slash units in front, can power up the bar. And if you do need some healing, Guardian Field that heals a fixed 1500 HP is a decent amount. Not only that, but you will have to use that anyways, because a lot of Cyrus's attacks, whether or not it's the small one or the large ones, do a kind of a water slash attack, and so the Guardian Field will reduce the damage a little bit as well. Not only that, I would highly recommend using the VCs from both Aldo as well as Cyrus. Cyrus's VC is power down 20, which is really good, and of course Aldo's is power plus 30 for your whole team, but physical defense plus 30 as well. And so you can see that as long as we have shielding, we're not going to take nearly as much damage. We can generally out heal our enemies. In this case, we did take a significant amount of AoE damage. However, we do still heal to 1500, and we do have the power to push it over to the last wave. So if you really need to time it so you have maximum power, just VC in and switch between Cyrus as well as Aldo until you need the AF bar to be full, and then you kill the second wave small Cyrus while VCing in Aldo ahead of time to give power to a whole party. Now this last wave is a little bit tricky, of course, being that most of our characters are doing single target damage, DPS. We don't have a lot of damage to clear all of them at one go, and so we do rely on multiple hits and kind of using Yuri as an AoE. He has an AoE that helps boost your crit rate, and the whole idea is to try to end it really quickly and finish it all in one go. Now you can see that unfortunately I left a little bit of HP left on the small Cyrus, and so you definitely want to target the larger Cyrus, as they do actually triple slashes each, and so you can easily get wiped out 3 hits on random enemies, and there's 2 large ones there in the final wave. That being said, we did have Quattro Drive all powered up, we had sword downs, and able to end the fight right there and then. So again, we can take a look at the requirements at the beginning of the stage, and like I said, party members don't get knocked out, which is the standard, and Aldo, Fane, and Cyrus in your party, and we were able to complete that. And so I'll just show you the loadout here. I do find that normal style Elga is great because it applies guaranteed pain, which you can use Pain Grasta if you do have that. You also do have the slash resist debuff, which really helps with damage as well, especially since it is an AoE. Now it doesn't do a ton of damage, but still it does enough damage. And Violet is really our main DPS because of the double hit there. So make sure if you have limited Grasta, put all the Grasta, as many as you can, on Violet, being that she is instrumental at least in ending the first phase and pushing it to the second phase with a full AF bar. Now for stage 5, this one was actually, these last two stages were a little bit more straightforward, and then stage 3, which was challenging, being that you had to use all band. So I will say that was the hardest one of the 5 I've felt so far. Now I went into this one understanding that there is a lot of fire attacks here, and so we're going to use a whole water team here. We have our newly manifested AS Leclerc, we have normal style Shani, AS Foreign. Keep in mind that she is still a water pierce unit, although she can establish pierce zone. We are not using her as a pierce zone setter, we are using her as a water DPS that also is a crit rate increaser. And finally, of course, AS Annabelle is great. She can set zones right from front in line with her Aegir Saber. And the reason that is really good is you'll see that later in this video, a couple of the waves, the bosses can actually establish zone right away, and there is also a 15 turn limit if you want to actually complete all the criteria and rewards in one go. And so in order to get less than 15 turns, if you have to use, for example, an AS Yuna or another zone setter and switch back and forth, that's essentially losing 1 or 2 turns over the time, and that may push you over the 15 turn limit. So you can see we still have water zone. I did not use Unicorn Drive during the AF to end the zone. We really want to keep zone in play. First of all, helps our AF bar, and obviously enhances our damage as well. Now in terms of how we handled these waves and these bosses, we are using Aiming Flood to use power down, and then we also use Heal Rising, which is the that move right there. It also applies Int down. Now I know that most of these enemies are physical in nature, however, the Int down still can reduce elemental attacks by the enemy by a little bit. Not only that, we want to have max stacks of the orbs on AS Foreign while we're outside AF. First of all, it increases our healing up to 1800, but not only that, you can consume it and obviously now give yourself 4 stacks of crit hits for your rest of your team. Now in terms of AS Annabelle, I have, of course, her 2 AS moves, and we can choose our 3rd move, and so I would highly recommend using Guardian Soul. We don't need any power down moves because we already have Aiming Flood, which is the AoE down, power down, and I don't think you need the Elemental Shield or Elemental Wall as well. The reason for that is, for those who don't know, AS Annabelle, the end of turn effect for her in Water Zone is for every water move used, it adds an elemental barrier at the end of turn, which is very nice and very useful here, which I'll show you a little bit later in this video. I would say that I didn't do the optimal play and I could have gotten killed, but because of that extra elemental shielding, you do have some ability to live. Not only that, but you can see that Gilda's or the Beast King's slash attacks are fire based. You have a water zone in play that will reduce that damage as well. Not only that, but like I said, with the Guardian Soul, it reduces physical attacks because it's a physical resist up, which also helps. And you can see that there is a little bit RNG that if they land all 3 of those hits on one of your characters, then you can still die. However, in general, it's pretty doable, and you have heals each turn. For those who don't know, normal style Shani is really instrumental in applying, with Epic Tail, multiple water resist debuffs as well as physical resist debuffs. So it does really well in helping you enhance your damage. Now, this wave, Beast King does have an HP stopper, and so your whole goal here is just basically to heal up, stack any stacks if you need to, and stack the number of resist debuffs. So you see that there's a number of water resist debuffs, and now things can get a little bit harder, but we do still have water zone in play, and we're just going to lay the smackdown on the enemy. Keep in mind that manifested Leclerc, once you put one of those orbs on the enemy, her damage is actually quite powerful. So you can see that it's already like 2 mil, and Gilda or the Beast King does re-establish Fire Zone, but don't worry, we don't have to do anything. We're just going to Aegir Saber, and not only that, we want to power up our bar here. We actually don't want to end the battle anyways, because you'll need your bar as best as possible in this final phase. Now, for me, I'll explain what I did wrong here, and I'll explain that if you have a different team, you will watch out for this. Note that right now we have Water Zone active. If you attack without an AF, and thereby just using a normal attack, this enhanced Beast King Gilna will not only establish Fire Zone, will also do a Fire AoE right there. So you don't get to attack first. It acts before you, guaranteed, no matter your speed of your team. If you're wondering why I didn't die, all water units actually have a natural 30% fire resist, which actually allows them to survive a little bit. Not only that is, the previous end of turn we had the Elemental Shield, which I said came into play with AS Annabelle. So as long as you have full life from AS4, which I don't see why you can't, then it should be no problem. And at this part, you should hopefully have timed it so that you built up a bar and then use the bar to finish it, and we can use Unicorn Drive at this point because it doesn't really matter. This is the last battle of the stage. So hopefully that gives you some insight as to what to do. I can say that you can use a lot of different teams. I believe Fire on Fire actually works as well. However, you have to have a pretty powerful team, such as, for example, ASBU or so on and so forth. In terms of more powerful water units, you can obviously use, lots of more recent water lance kind of units, in which case you can choose to either go full Water Zone or Pierce Zone, in which case it enhances everything. I will say that AS Leclerc is the star of the show, being that the debuffs really do help you survive, although if you don't take hits because you overpower the enemies, then you don't have to worry about defense. Finally, of course, like I said, AS Annabelle, I still like her. She is, awesome. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.